Hi, everyone. Thank you for being so punctual today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Just going to give time for more individuals to join. We'll get started a few minutes after 2. Thank you. While you wait, please drop the name of your organization and your name in the chat box. If you have any issues using the chat, please use the Q&A to let me know or raise your hand, but you all should have access to utilize the chat. Thank you. It looks like the chat's working. If everyone can just drop your name and the name of your organization in the chat box, we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thank you. Hi, Liz. I see your hand is up. I'm gonna allow you to unmute to ask your question. Go ahead, Liz. Liz, I don't think we're able to hear you. If you want to put your question in the chat. Hello. Yeah, thank you for everyone who's just joining. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Please just drop your name and the name of your organization in the chat box, and we'll get started in just a few. Thank you. Okay, Liz, you said you're having problems with your sound. There was no sound before, but can you hear me okay now? Thank you, Liz. Thank you. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks, everyone. Hey, thank you everyone for joining. If you've not done so already, please put your name and the name of your organization in the chat. Ray, we are able to see your chat. We'll get started in just a few minutes. We're just going to let a few more people join, and then we'll get started. Thank you all for being here and being so punctual. And I did see a question come through in the Q&A. You all are going to be muted with your cameras off. That's the webinar setting. But we will have opportunities later when you would like to ask questions that you can unmute. Thank you. Okay, we've had a few more people join. So if you've not done so already, please put your name and the name of your organization in the chat, and we will get started in about 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here. My name is Ariel Lopez. I'm the Quality Assurance Manager here at TPA, and we're going to be reviewing today a guide to creating your year 3 milestones. I can't believe you guys are already in your third contract year. That has flown by. Um, so we're going to get started. If you've not done so already, please drop your name, the name of your organization in the chat box. Thank you all so much. Okay, first we're going to get started with our land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash people. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. Okay. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to be covering what is the purpose of milestones, be going over the milestone template, and then what constitutes a milestone, what's something that's not going to be approved as a milestone. And then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A at the end of today's webinar. During the webinar, feel free to utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. If you don't automatically see it, you may need to click the More button and then Q&A. We will also have the opportunity during the designated Q&A times to unmute. So go ahead and raise your hand during those times, and then we'll ask you to unmute. So what is the purpose of milestones? Really, as an opportunity to highlight the work that your organization is doing each quarter, and for us to showcase to CFCI and JCOD the work that is being done by your organizations. So we ask you to build milestones, outcomes, and then include an explanation of your intended impact of these milestones. So this kind of outlines what each step of the process, what we're looking for. Milestones are meant to be what you, the organization, will be doing. So, for example, that could be providing a student with life skills classes or enrolling new students in your job readiness program. The outcome is the impact of that work that you're doing or the impact of the action that you're taking. So an example of that would be students who participate in the life skills classes are more likely to feel confident applying for jobs or opening a bank account. So what is the impact on the student of participating in your program? And then on the last page of the template that you'll see in a second, we have the impact and goal. So what is the overall impact on the community, your program area, your spa, and your organization? So an example of this will be providing life skills classes. By providing life skills classes, you're hoping to increase the number of individuals in your community who attend college. So kind of that larger overall overarching impact of the milestone. So this template I'm going to open, you all should have seen, your grant advocate probably shared this with you. And so we're going to go through this step by step and just kind of showcase what we're looking for when we look at this milestone template. So these milestones go through a few different rounds of approval. Your grant advocate will take a look at it, and then our leadership team, our TPA leadership team, will also take a look at it and ensure that it aligns with your scope of work and the goal of the grant. So up here at the top, when you submit this document, you're going to put initial there. When it's final and approved, us, the TPA leadership team, will put final there. So it should always say initial when it's coming from you. Organization name, of course, you know that information. Your program area number, so that would be 1 through 46, and then your program area name. I know there's a lot of program area names. You all might be dually funded. If you're not sure what your program area name is, please reach out to your grant advocate and they can help find that information. And then here we have what type of services are you providing? If you provide one of these three, please just check the box so that we can identify which of our organizations are providing mental health services, SUD services, and crisis intervention services. And then the last question at the top is whether or not you or your subcontractors are Medi-Cal certified. So please ensure that that part is filled out as well. I see a couple chats coming through. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. Will this PowerPoint be available for future reference? Yes, the recording will be posted and we'll send out the slides. So this kind of outlines what we talked about earlier, but the milestone again is what will your project accomplish in the third year of your project or program? And we're looking for 4 milestones that relate to that project. The outcomes are what are some measurable outcomes related to the implementation or achievement of your milestones. So this should show that your program is having the intended effect on your participants and show an increase in behaviors, conditions, kind of what we talked about earlier of what are the students getting from participating in your program. And then lastly, or next, is the supporting documentation. So what will you submit during your milestone quarterly reports to show that you've achieved or worked towards these milestones? So we are asking that all documents that are listed in this column be submitted during your milestone quarterly report. So you want to ensure that these are things that fit within your program structure. If it's something that you don't already have, that you have a plan to implement collecting these documents, because we will be looking for them during reporting. And then when are these due? When do you expect to achieve these milestones? This can be one specific quarter. You can say, I'm going to submit milestone 1 in quarter 1, 2 in quarter 2, or it can be a range. You can do a quarter 1 to 3, quarter 1 to 4. It really depends on the structure of your organization. You just want to make sure that the due date aligns with your program calendar. So if your program does enrollments in the summer, you want to make sure that the milestone that you'll be reporting on in the summer is specific to enrollments. And then this is where we have the bulk of the content. This is going to be what is your milestone, what is the outcome, what is supporting documentation, and what is the due date. We do ask that these milestones are submitted on the document that your grant advocate sent you and that it's submitted in a Word document. I just have a PDF version for the sake of this presentation, but please ensure that it's submitted in a Word document file. And then we have the impact goal. I know this can be easy to miss because you have to scroll down a little, but really this is how will the milestones and outcomes that you're talking about above help the needs of your community, your program area, your spa, and then what does success look like for your project? We ask you to limit this to 250 words if possible. But if you miss that section, your milestones will be sent back. So please ensure that you are able to fill that out. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and pull the slides back up. And then I'm also going to pause for questions. So I saw one come through in the Q&A. What is SUD? Substance use disorder. So SUD is substance use disorder. So if you provide services specific to that, please ensure that you check that box there. Do we have any hands raised? Does anyone have any questions before we move on? I know we're kind of flying through this, but I want to make sure we have time for questions. No? Okay. Okay, I will share my slides again. Oh, I just saw a hand pop up. Let's see. Okay, Matt, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hey, so I was just wondering when we're submitting documentation, um, we're just usually doing representative samples of documentation, or are you wanting all the documentation for every client submitted? Which either way is fine. I think I've done some pretty hefty files with you already, but I'm just curious what you're looking for when we do our last year of quarterly reports as it relates to
Yeah.
achieving the milestones.
Good question, Matt. So we are going to be looking for all the documentation. However, we do recognize that some things are very lengthy. Like, for example, intake forms may be multiple pages long. And so we may ask that you submit the first page of that document rather than all of them, all pages, but one for each student. What we're looking for is something to cross-reference our apricot data with and show they provided this service, we have this backup documentation to showcase it, and therefore they achieved the milestone. And so we are going to be looking for all of the documents. You may run into a challenge that your document is too large to be uploaded into Apricot because there is a capacity. If that's the case, please send the documents directly to your grant advocate, and we have a process for uploading it into our shared drive, and they can take care of that for you. Some of you may have run into that issue, especially if you're uploading photos. There is sometimes a challenge with the capacity. But yes, we are going to be looking for all of the documents that are listed there.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Someone asked, is it recommended to build off of our previously approved milestones? That depends on the structure of your organization. If you have recurring services that don't change year to year, then you may need to do the same milestones. But if you have services within your scope of work that you've not created milestones for yet and you want to highlight those, we will encourage you to do that. Your grant advocates will look over your scope of work and ensure that the milestones that you have reflect what you put in your scope of work and in your grant application. So you can work off of your past milestones, but it may also be good for you to build on different services if you have them. And you may be encouraged to do so. See, I see a few more in the Q&A here. What if our organization doesn't exactly fit in one of the three categories on page one? Which reason? So just to clarify, those are not requirements. It's just if you do provide those services in those categories, we ask that you check them off, but they're not requirements. Why are we required to include events within the same quarter? I think I need a little more clarification on this question. I'm going to ask you to unmute just to provide a little more clarification on your question. If you're able to unmute, if not, feel free to just put more clarification in the Q&A chat.
I think I'm unmuted now, am I? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
you are. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So historically, the organization provides puts on an martial arts tournament, which is pretty comprehensive. And we decided to add an archery tournament this year. But we were told we need to put them into the same, we can't have them in different quarters. We have to put them into the same quarter. Does that sound?
I think I probably need to take a look at your specific milestones and your specific program structure. I'll put my email in the chat if you want to reach out to me directly or connect with your grant advocate and we can chat because I think I might need a little more clarification on your specific organization.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
I'm going to put my email in the chat box there. Okay. Let's see, I think we had another hand raised. Ray, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Oops. Go ahead, Ray.
Hey, Ariel, how you doing?
Good to
Um,
see you.
Good to see you as well. It's a long time no see. I wanted to ask you, so you said because I did go through my advocate about the milestones. I was trying to put the milestones in for this next for year three milestones, and he told me that I could not repeat my same milestones. And I know you're very familiar with my program. We pretty much run the same program year round. So you're saying that I can repeat my same milestones?
If there's nothing else in your scope of work that we could highlight, then that may be an option. I think again, it may be a specific situation. And so we can connect offline. You have my email and I'll work with your grant advocate to have that conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Thanks, Ray. Okay, so a question. Let's see. For example, if we have a milestone that is blank events per quarter, is it okay to submit partial supporting documents by the end of quarter two? So I think, Severe, what you're asking is if you did part of those events in one quarter and you're going to continue, what we want to do is if you're leaving a milestone in progress, you provide the documentation for the progress you've made thus far. So let's say the milestone is to provide 10 events within 2 quarters. You do 5 1 quarter. We're going to need to see the backup documentation for those 5 in quarter one and then the other 5 in quarter two. I hope that answers your question, Severe, but please raise your hand if not. Okay, I think those are all the questions for now. I'm going to move on to the next slide, but we will have more time for questions at the end. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what should a milestone include? And we've touched a little bit about on this already, but the milestone should be focused on services that are funded by CFCI. So if you have services that are funded through another grant or another foundation, you're not going to want milestones to be focused on those services. We want to see services that are funded by CFCI and reflected in Apricot. We also want the milestone to include the frequency of the service that is being provided. So if you say we will provide life skills classes, are they weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly? We want to have that information. Also a target number of students. So if you intend to provide those life skills classes to 60 students on a weekly basis, that's what we're looking for. We want to be able to ensure that we're tracking it, that these are measurable milestones. And then a brief description of the service. And what I mean by that is we have over 400 organizations who have really unique services and title their services very differently. So you may have a life skills class that is internally called LS 101. We don't want the milestone to say we'll provide 60 students with LS 101 because we don't necessarily know what that means. We have a lot of different people on our team, and so we want to make sure that it's clear what that service is. So it could say we will provide 60 weekly life skills classes to or we will provide life skills classes to 60 students on a weekly basis. And if you want to put in there, that is your LS 101 class, or if you want to put that into when you're reporting on the milestone, but we want to make sure it's clear what the actual service is. And then what should a milestone not include? So since we're 3 years and this is the third year of the grant, we are looking for the milestones to not include outreach, program development, hiring, and staff training. We understand that these are essential parts of your program. However, since we're 2 years into the contract already, we won't be able to reflect these as milestones. We really want the milestones to be service focused, which for the most part was the case for year two as well, unless you had a longer ramp up period, but really wanted to be showcasing the work that you all are doing in your communities. Okay, and we're back to Q&A. So I just saw one come through. Can a milestone be to build tools that support the tracking of program participant data? So that would be considered program development, which is not necessarily something we would approve as a milestone. We would like it to be focused on the services that you are tracking. But we understand that that's an essential part of your program. And if you need support with that, feel free to reach out to our technical assistance team and they may be able to help you building those tools, but it wouldn't be something that's captured as a milestone. See. Quick tracking question regarding milestones. If we partner with another CFCI recipient organization where we serve the same student population but deliver entirely different, distinct services, how should we handle reporting? Will both organizations be able to count these students towards our respective milestone metrics, or is there a specific protocol to avoid duplicative data? So, since you all are providing two completely different services, you would just capture the service that you're actually providing. So, for example, if you're doing a retreat and your organization is putting on the retreat, but another organization is doing the transportation to the retreat, that organization would capture the transportation, you would capture the actual retreat. Just make sure you're capturing what you're providing. And you may run into a challenge with inputting data for duplicate students. If you get that duplicate notice or error on Apricot, just reach out to our help desk. I'll put the email in the chat box, and they can give you access to a student's account who already exists in Apricot. But you would just make sure that you're only capturing the service that you're actually providing. Thank you, Mina. Let's see. What can we do if we do not meet some of the milestone goals by the end of the quarter? So if you don't meet the milestone goals by the end of the quarter, you can leave the milestone in progress and it can continue, you can continue working towards it. We really want you all to be able to accomplish these milestones. And so if you find that at the end of quarter one, you haven't hit that yet, you can leave it in progress and continue working on it in quarter two. We just ask that you provide information on the progress you've made thus far towards meeting the milestone. And if no progress has been met, that is explicitly said in the update box of we've not made progress towards this milestone yet and why that is. If at the end of the year you're not reaching your milestone, then we would have a conversation about the milestones not being completed. But we do ask that if you anticipate you won't be able to achieve a milestone, you reach out to your grant advocate early on so we can help provide tools in ensuring that those milestones are met. Should we aim to complete one milestone per quarter? That is completely up to you and the structure of your program. It is the easiest way to report is if you have one milestone per quarter. However, that may not fit the structure of your organization. It may not be feasible for you to reach the numbers in one quarter. And so I would encourage you to have a conversation with you and whoever's, if you're the one doing the programs or if you have a program team you can talk to and have that conversation with. We want to make sure that the milestones reflect the structure of your program. If our organization provides the same type of services, could a new milestone for year three be to increase those services? Absolutely. So the milestone in quarter contract year two was to provide 30 and you want it to be 45 now, then that can be a milestone. Absolutely. As long as it is providing the service. Let's see. If we had a milestone in progress, do we supply supporting documentation to complete and finish off that milestone at the end of the fiscal year? Is that a requirement? So if a milestone has been in progress all year and we're at the end of the contract year, then yes, you would need to provide information on what you've done to complete that milestone or the progress towards that milestone and backup documentation. However, we do ask that each quarter you're showcasing the progress towards the milestone. So if the milestone is for all 4 quarters to provide 80 services and you're doing 20 a quarter, each quarter you'd report on those 20, provide documentation for those 20, and then the next quarter, the next 20, so on and so forth. I don't see any hands raised. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask live? Don't see any hands raised. Any other questions? I don't see any questions in the Q&A. I'm again going to put my email in the chat box. If you'd like to reach out about specific milestone questions, please loop in your grant advocate because they're the experts on your program. We work with a lot of organizations. They have the expertise and can help guide the best, but I'm happy to answer questions as well. No other questions? Oh, I see one came through. Can staff/coach development or training be considered a milestone? So at this point, we would not consider that a milestone. We understand that it's necessary. However, we want the milestones to be focused on services being provided to the participants of your program. Okay, no other. Oh, here we go. Randy, I'm going to ask you to unmute. No, maybe not. Maybe that was an accident, Randy. I thought your hand went down. But feel free to raise your hand again. Let's see. For clarity, if 2 CFCI grantees partner on something like workshops, one facilitates the workshop and the other is providing the workshop to their participant, is that still allowed or is the conflict? One facilitates and the other is providing. So that sounds like the organization that's facilitating the workshop would capture those services. The organization who maybe refers their participants to that workshop, that may be a referral, but the actual workshop service would be for the organization that's facilitating the workshop. Robert, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Good afternoon, Ariel. Nice to see
Yeah.
you.
You as well.
So just for clarification, so both year 1 and 2, our milestone 4 was, let's say, enroll 40 participants for housing services. And so the supporting documentation that we uploaded was the intake form and the ROI. But so that's what we'll do, like for for year 3, whatever said amount of participants enrolled, it would be the same process, or do you want us enrolling every quarter, every report, whatever new participants were enrolled during that quarter as well?
So
Or
I
do I
would
just
encourage you to
all at one
do
time?
it per quarter. I would encourage you to do it per quarter so that we can cross-reference it with the apricot data as it's being entered, and then also lighten the load at the end of the fiscal year. So I
Okay,
would do each quarter, however many you enroll each quarter.
sounds good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good question. Thanks. Okay, I think I saw one more question in the Q&A. I joined late. Was I supposed to? Yes, Mandy, if you don't mind entering into the chat your name and the name of your organization. Okay. Well, I put my email in the chat. I included the TPA email. I lost my screen. One second. On the screen here. Feel free to reach out to the TPA technical assistance email or to me directly, and we can help answer questions. And thank you all for attending today. Oh, did we have some more questions or just names? I think it was just names. Thank you everyone for adding your names in. But thank you all for attending today. Hope it was helpful in building out your milestones. And please utilize your grant advocate as a resource. Reach out to technical assistance, reach out to myself, and we're happy to help with building out these year 3 milestones. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.